This storm doesn't stop the cattle from needing to eat, and it doesn't stop us either. Winter feeding isn't about convenience, it's about responsibility, even when conditions are against you. Today I'm going to show you what that looks like and why it matters. Hey there, ranch hands. Well, the snow's still out. Just on the way around the mile earlier, that couple of trees, I'm sure, nothing big, just some limbs kind of fall down on the fence. And we are going to address that today, as well as clean out the baby calf pen. So right now we're going to grab the old Milwaukee chainsaw here, and let's see and make sure it's got plenty of bar oil in it. Looks like we might need some. Well, we'll just go over here and get it. I think I can reach it. Kind of back in the corner. Oh yeah, we got it. Not too bad. Now let's grab us a battery here. We'll go with the old 6.0. And we'll just grab a couple of more of these to take with us, just in case. So I'm gonna go out and put this in the truck and probably come back and get a regular old gas chainsaw just in case. All right, I went ahead and got this saw gassed up and oiled up. Hopefully we don't have to use it. And we'll go see what we can't get cut up. All right, we got everything loaded up. We're heading across the mile. I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about ethics in ranching. You know, I posted a reel and YouTube short earlier, kind of introducing you to one of our older herd bulls that were kind of semi-retiring, and he's just getting to live his life out here. You know, every one of these ranches, farms and ranches for that matter, are different. We've all got different things going on, different input from different people within the family. And there's, you know, just different ways to run things. Kind of the way, and we're not perfect by any means, obviously. But one of the things that is kind of always, well, not kind of, has always rang true my entire life is ethics around managing animals. My grandmother, the person who started this ranch, has always been of the opinion, if this animal gives their life to you, then they deserve to be able to live their life out here. And I know this is going to hit some spots with some of the other ranchers out there, but that's just the way it is here. You know, is it more financially responsible that when a cow or a bull is of a certain age, you sell it, you get rid of it, you know, and it gets sent to the hamburger factory? Absolutely, that's probably financially more of a better decision. But when it comes to our little family ranch, it's never been just about making money. It's always the long game, right? How are we going to keep this ranch going for this generation, the next generation if they so choose? And I think what we've been doing here works. I mean, it's been running since 1960. We take very good care of our animals, as you guys have been able to see. And then once they're done, you know, they get to live their life out here. They don't have to go get loaded up in a trailer, all that stress, hauled, you know, 50, 60 miles to the sale barn, run through all that stress, get dumped off at the sale barn, you know, get ran through several different sets of pens, through a show ring where people are in there hooping and hollering. You know, that's a high stress environment for an animal. And if that works in your situation, okay. I'm not saying our way is right, it's just our way. You know, I can think back, it was probably the late 80s or early 90s, we were still in the dairy business. Some of you, I'm sure, are old enough to remember what a sickle mower is. We had stored a sickle mower in a loafing shed. Well, cows are inquisitive, as anybody who's ever worked with them know. They're nosy. Well, we had a Holstein cow, milk cow. She figured out a way to get the panel knocked down, and she got in there with this sickle mower. And when we came to milk cows that morning, we couldn't find her. We went out and we found her, and she was down. She'd got in there rubbing on that mower, and the sickle bar fell down on her, and just mangled a leg up. Her back, I mean, it was mangled up to where we had the vet come out. He amputated her leg. She was a 3-legged cow. Now, any other dairy farm, you know, probably would have got rid of that cow, and nobody could blame them. But we didn't. We kept her running in the herd. She adapted, continued to calve, continued to produce milk for years after that incident. She was pretty young when that happened. You know, and I was a younger person at that time, and that really kind of taught me just how important it is to take care of these animals in a way that's ethical and, you know, just kind. Once again, I'm not saying our way is the way, it's just a way, and it works for us. So I don't see any plans to change that in the future. All right, that's enough of my soapbox on that. I'm gonna get down here and we're gonna trim some of these tree limbs off the fence. All right, we're gonna try to get through here without getting stuck. We made it. All right, somewhere down here I saw a limb on the fence. Let's see if we can find it. Yeah, I can see it. I see it down here. I'm gonna get out and try to get that taken care of. All right, we got one down. All right, there's my next one. Now, today's goal is to just get them cut off the fence. I'm not trying to get them all cut up, anything like that. We'll get them cut down and come back later and get them out of the way. The other one, I believe, is on up maybe a quarter mile. All right, there it is. Now, this one's a little bit more, well, it's just bigger than those other ones. So we'll see how this goes with the Milwaukee. All right, that's just kind of resting on that other side of the fence now. Have to get it from the outside. Hey, hi. I bet she tries to get in the barn as soon as I pull this 6-wheeler out. Let's find out. Whoa, she didn't. She just stood there. Bet she wouldn't stand there long though. I hope you guys can see something. It's dark in here. I really don't have the best way to set that up. But I just backed the old 6-wheeler up there to the door and just start trying to get as much of this wet bedding out of here as I can. I know it's real wet right up here, but we've been keeping dry hay stacked back here, so he has not had to lay in anything that's wet through this. And we're not going for perfection. We're just going to get out as much of this old damp stuff we can get. We'll bring in some new. That was a blooper. We'll see if it makes it. I think that's about it. All good fresh hay. He's already come back in here. He's gonna come out and run around. I'm just gonna let him run around out here till it's time to feed. And here's what we were after. Say hi. What are you gonna name me? What's my name need to be? Well, we're gonna spin around and try to put some cubes out. Hopefully you stay up there this time. There they are, all up through there. We got all the hay out and the cubes out. We got the trees trimmed off the fence. Got the calf pen cleaned out. I'm gonna call that success. The only other chore I've got today is to come back here about 4 or 5 o'clock, feed the calf. The ponds are thawing out, so not really having to break ice today. I would like to hear some of your ideas, those of you that's in this business, how you guys deal with your animals on your ranches, what your system is, whether you sell them at a certain age, or they just get to live out their life where they're at. I'm always interested in new things. You know, when my grandparents turned this farm and ranch over to my wife and I in 2016, I struggled with that, thinking that I needed to be selling something all the time, getting rid of these cows when they get a little old, you know, because that need is there to generate income. You know, I get that. And I struggled with it hard, butted heads with my grandma, you know, about that. You know, and after my wife and I spent some time talking and reflecting on it, we just made the decision that the way things have been going for all these years here have worked well enough to keep this ranch running all that time, and to be able to, you know, hand that off to the next stewards of this land and of these animals. So together we made that decision, and here we are. I mean, we've been running this since 2016, and sometimes you have some actual farm income that can go towards, you know, your personal life, and in some years it all goes right back into the farm. But it's working for us, so let us know what works for you guys. I'm always open to discussion and just hearing new ideas. Thanks for watching.